twilight hours, voices sing tales of hope and heartbreak, everything a rhythmic blend of dreams and schemes, whispered sweetly in the...
Welcome to the ISME Online Café. My name is Marco Toledo, and I am professor of music at the Federal University of Ceará, located on the Sobral campus in the northeast of Brazil. Professor Carlos Poblet Lagos and I will be your hosts for these editions of ISME Café. But what is ISME Café Online? ISME Café Online is an initiative promoted by the International Society for Music Education, ISME, with the aim of creating an informal, inclusive, and collaborative space for dialogue between music educators, rehearsers, students, and professionals in the field. The purpose of the meeting is to encourage the exchange of experience, reflects on the contemporary challenges faced by music education in different regions, contexts, and stresses local and international network. ISME Café Online was
Hello, Marco is there? Ah, well, hello everyone. I am Carlos Poblete Lagos. I don't know if my connection is good. Can you hear me? Can you listen to me? Okay. Well, probably Marco have some troubles with his connections, and then I will try to continue presenting what it is ISME Café. ISME Café is an initiative promoted by the International Society for Music Education with the aim of creating an informal, inclusive, and collaborative space for dialogue between music educators, researchers, students, and professionals in the fields. The purpose of the meeting is to encourage the exchange of experience, reflect on the contemporary challenge faced by music education in different regional contexts, and strengthen local and international networks. ISME Café Online was conceived and is organized by ISME Permanent Advocacy Standing Committee, of which we are a part. And we would like to thank our colleagues on this committee for the works they have done. Dr. Michael Long from Hong Kong, China, Mr. Sandra Oberoi from India, Mr. Adam Switala from Iceland, Professor Natasha Ekonomidou Stavro from Cyprus, Dr. Christine D'Alexander from USA, and Mr. Asagile Mwakalinga from Kenya. We would like to make a special mention of ISME President, Dr. Patricia Gonzalez Moreno, who is professor at the Autonomous University of Chihuahua, Mexico. Thank you, Patricia, for your support and efforts dedicated to music education in Latin America. And also, I would like to give my special thanks for the ISME Coms. They are a strong part of the ISME Cafe, because without his support, it is not possible. And then thank you very much, dear Tree, dear Nananja, and all these colleagues that was involved in this effort that we are doing. Well, I would like to say welcome also to Dr. Jody Geschler, who is here. She is currently, as you know, probably, you know, she is the elected ISME president. Thank you very much for to be here, dear Judy. and we have a wonderful audience also. I don't know, Marco is here again?
Yes, yes, I go back. Sorry, I have a problem with
No,
my
no, no
computer.
problem. I think all we think, oh, Marco is very concentrated, very focused because you was thinking, no, in our face. But anyway, I take the words and continue the presentation. And I finally finished the presentation of what the spirit of ISME, accepting the philosophy. Probably you could be take
Ah,
from uh, each meeting this part. I didn't take. Please, I let
okay.
you.
Well, I'm sorry. Before we call our guest, we would like to inform you of the philosophy behind this meeting. Which meeting will be hosted by a different member of one of the ISME committee and special interest group. The main purpose of our meetings is to provide a platform for music education practitioners and students across the globe to share, discuss, and reflect on their experience and narratives while learning from and with one another in atmosphere, safety, trust, and mutual support. By participating in the meeting, we all agree to and take responsibility for the following. One, we aim at uh, creating a welcoming and inclusive environment. We accept and honor diverse perspectives. We cultivate a sense of belonging and trust. We cultivate open and honest communication. We foster the health and well-being of all participants. We listen, respond, and disagree respectfully and avoid judgmental statements towards others. Well, let's talk and get inspired. Um,
Okay,
Next
thank
time,
you.
sorry, I, I, I,
Sorry, sorry.
I can introduce my colleagues because my colleague Carlos, because it's for me it's an honor of preparing these two sections with him. Thank you for your help, Carlos. Yeah, thank you for share the moments with me. Okay, for you.
Okay, thank you very much, Marco. Marco, uh, he has a very strong work organizing the first ISME Latin American Café and this one. And I want to say thank you for all your dedicated work. Uh, Before to present our guest today, I would like to explain or to expand a little bit the idea why we decided or proposed first, of course, and decided to do two ISME Cafe sessions and not only one. Um, Inside all perspectives, we took the spirit of collaborative work to cultural understanding and intercultural communication that is part also of this initiative. And we try to go a little bit more beyond, uh, considering that Latin America is a region that is intersected for several complexities. One of them is the language. Even we are not a lot of language. We have different language that is predominant here. Spanish is one of them. Portuguese is one of them. But uh, English is not our second or third language for much. people. Then we had a question before to organize the ISME Cafe. It was, okay, if we are pretending to connect with more people than ISME members, and we are pretending to expand and communicate with these people, probably a first idea could be try to understand in the local language. For this reason, we think a first ISME Cafe organized only for Portuguese or only in Spanish and Portuguese language, two language, with three guests that not all of them was part of ISME, considering this idea to expand also beyond our institutional borders and to connect and try to get some opinions, informations, perspective about music education, the challenge to practice music education in Latin America, the needs, and okay, all the things that that is part of our only in local language, because we are creating some closed space and it is not part of the spirit of ISME and also of ISME Cafe, of course. And then, well, the second idea was to expand the reflection that was raised in the first ISME Cafe, connecting with the global context across a second ISME Cafe performed in English as a common language, or as a lingua franca, and then trying to invite also new guests, part of ISME, and then could be reflect on the past and the previous sessions, and to do, of course, response about these same questions. And then we are very glad with the result of the first ISME Cafe, because I think that is a signal. It's not only the amount of people that attended. It was not only a signal of a successful activity. It's also a signal that we must put attention to this possibility to connect also, and to look for new ways to expand our communication with another country. Anyway, I'm so sorry to talk a little bit. I told the people, please don't invite me because I like to talk, and then, well, please ask the consequence. Okay, I would like to present now our special guest. They are three wonderful researcher professor that is part of ISME also. I feel very proud to present here. I will invite here to participate for today's meeting. First, Dr. Karina Jolie. Karina is Associate Professor of Piano at the Federal University of Cariri in Brazil. She holds a Master of Music and DMA in Piano Performance and Pedagogy from Penn State University and Oklahoma University in USA, respectively. Her postgraduate studies include music physiology at the Zurich University of the Arts in Switzerland and neuropsychology at Faculdade de New North of Apurana in Brazil. Her profound interest in interdisciplinary research on injury prevention in musicians has shaped her pedagogical approach, which emphasize postural alignment and ergonomics in music performance techniques. We had also, as a guest for today's meeting, to Master Alexandra Garcia Trabuco. She is an oboe professor and researcher at the National University of Cuyo in the city of Mendoza, Argentina, where she also served as Dean of Music Careers. She has presented research papers in Argentina, Brazil, Ecuador, Mexico, Italy, UK, and other countries, and publishes articles in the Double Reed Journal and other specialized magazines. As musicians, she is a member of the Orquesta Filarmónica Provincial, the Provincial Philharmonic Orchestra, as oboe and English horn player, miscellaneous chamber music groups, and the Sala Anna Frank Theater Group. Along with the Antares Goodwine Quintet, she received an NIA grant to develop a teaching performance project for North American rural communities in the 90s. Alexandra was a recipient of the Fulbright Scholarship and holds a Master of Music degree from the University of Cincinnati in Ohio, USA. At ISME, she was chair of the Commission of Education of Professional Musicians, CEPROM. Finally, I would like to welcome to Dr. Joanna Reel. She is PhD in Music Education of the International Miami University. She has teaches in the University of Miami in USA, also in the University of Cuenca in Ecuador, between other institutions. Currently, she is professor of music education at the University of Las Americas in Ecuador and researcher focused on policy issues in music education, specifically issues concerning accessibility to music education in the Ecuadorian public school system. Other lines of research include creativity in music and its connection to psychological traits such as critical thinking, and music and creativity for the development of social capital. Currently, she is Commissioner of the Policy Commission of ISME. Please welcome to this ISME Café. We will start with the first question. Our structure is very simple. We will have 3 questions. We expect that the 3 guests could be respond to our questions. Afterwards, after the 3 questions, we will have a space for to comment or receive another questions from the audience. We invite to you to leave your questions to the audience, please. To leave your question in the chat, and Professor Toledo and me, we will take one, and the final space we will commenting with all the people this question. I would like to again please invite my friends and colleagues, Dr. Toledo, to continue speaking about the questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Carlos. And welcome, Karina, Alejandra, Johanna. Thank you very much for to be here with us. And to start our conversation, we would like to propose a first question. It's precisely what brings us here today, and why you have invited the music educator from different countries in Latin America. It's amazing to be here with you. Then, the first question: what are the current challenges facing music education in Latin America? What are the current challenges facing music education in Latin America?
Sorry, please feel free to start, Alejandra.
Yes.
We will have, sorry, it was my mistake. We will try to provide a maximum of 5 minutes for each people in each question, okay? And it is only trying to get and to have the time for all people talk and receive afterwards the comments, okay? Thank you, Alejandra. Sorry.
Yes. Good morning to everybody, and thanks for showing up and being here. I'm from Argentina, as Marco said, or Carlos. And first of all, I would like just to go through the basic scenarios where music education is in my country and in other countries too, of course. First, you have the general education, right, which we call mandatory education, educación obligatoria, right? Primary school, secondary school, where music should be and is not always present, as we saw in the previous meeting, in the previous Café meeting in other countries too, because of lack of resources. Our country is very big and it's vast, and salaries are low, distances are very big. So sometimes the music classes are not covered. Then you have all the web of vocational music education, right? Which is represented by, for example, in my province, by vocational artistic schools that have an array of courses in music and dance, choirs, things like that. And then you have the university, right? The careers, universities, conservatories. Argentina has a very big web of national universities, which are tuition-free. Those are, let me see, 63 universities, and having 2.5 million students, and actually from all over Latin America, because we receive a lot of students from other countries of the region. And every student is received exactly the same. If it's national or foreign, it's exactly the same. It's free and it's welcome. And you have music careers in at least 15 of those universities. So it looks like a big system, but does it work? The normal path would be to discover, maybe in a classroom when you're in primary school, secondary school, in a regular music classroom, that you're interested in music, and so maybe you go to a vocational school, to deepen your knowledge, to have more practice, and then you're prepared for an admission exam. If you choose to pursue a music career, then you can go to the university and do that. But unfortunately, this path is kind of broken or chipped. It's not as continuous as it looks. And so what happens at university level, which is the level in which I teach, so that's my area, is that many times we receive students that are motivated and enthusiastic about pursuing a music career, but couldn't have enough training, in early years, because they couldn't access to music experiences, right? So that's one of the challenges we face at the university level. That is what I'm mostly going to talk about. But there's a bigger challenge that I want to mention right now. And that is, and I think it applies, it's particularly in my country, but I think it applies to the countries of the region in general, and also outside the region. And that is the political swings, the political pendulum in which many of our countries are. And that means that in a cyclic way, art is either promoted or destroyed, promoted, destroyed, And that's terrible, because the continuation, the sustainability of interesting programs that with so much work, so many talented people put together, then those are threatened by changes of government that go, from one wing to the other wing. And so all of these things suffer. That's a big challenge that I think we are facing now. and under the umbrella of, oh, there are so many economical problems, we cannot attend things that are not essential, like music. Well, I think we have a different opinion, right? But with that umbrella, actually, they are putting the battle not in the right place, because the actual battle is a cultural battle, right? So the problem seems to be, well, we don't have money to fund all this, so budget cut here, budget cut there, programs fall or strive, to resist. But actually, what happens, and I think this happens in many countries, unfortunately, is that there's a cultural battle to force this idea in the community that whatever leads to critical thinking, to free expression, to the growth of the community and the strengthening of bonds of people, it's not very convenient for some kinds of governments. So that's what we're suffering now. And I wish the swing, as it has come this way, we are trying to make it come this way. Again, that's a big challenge for all the stages of music education. Thank you.
Thanks to you, dear Alexandra. I think we can look some common points, not only probably in Argentina, also in other countries.
I know.
Thank you, Alejandra. Please, who want to follow? Joanna?
Yeah. I can go on and agree with many things that were said by Alejandra. I think we're facing very similar challenges. I'm going to highlight what she said about the political transitions. Whenever there's a new political wing in power, the plans change a lot. And even though we have laws and political frameworks that in theory would I'm going to say protect the implementation of curricular activities in music education, the economical and political agendas of each government change so drastically that it definitely impacts education. I'm also going to say, of course, we have regarding Ecuador specifically, and I'm using my own research as a basis for this. We have very limited access to music instruction at the public school system, at the public level. Privately, that's a different story, because many private schools right now follow what I'm going to say international models with a liberal arts approach that sort of place some importance in arts and music instruction. However, at the public level, that's it's like living in a new different world. The majority of public schools, based on the research I have done, over 75% of these schools do not offer formal music education, despite having a national curriculum mandate. We have a national curriculum and a specific music curriculum for culture, arts, and music included. In schools that do not offer music, it's often under-resourced, under-scheduled, and very inconsistently delivered. And the access is frequently determined by the geographical location, with rural and lower income urban areas disproportionately affected, of course. This is due to a policy practice gap, which I call it. as I said before, Ecuador has a legal and curricular framework that in theory might seem very strong, very robust, because we have a national law, which we call Ley Orgánica de Educación Intercultural, the Organic Law of Intercultural Education, and the National Curriculum for Arts and Cultural Education, which positions music and arts education as essential. These are words in the curriculum to holistic intercultural learning. However, in practice, these policies are poorly communicated, frequently misinterpreted, or selectively enforced. According to this, teachers and administrators often do not fully understand the content or intent of these policies, which leads to a disconnect between theory and the classroom reality. And of course, this policy dissemination is top-down and uneven. A lot of administrators and teachers have actually said that these policies were created behind desks, not even knowing the realities of schools and the needs of students, teachers, regarding infrastructure, regarding materials, regarding human resources, and so on. To these, we can add the lack of qualified teachers. And this is due to a very important policy shift in these policies that I already mentioned, that went from specialized teachers to music being delivered by generalist classroom teachers without considering whether they have or not musical background. And as a result, most classrooms are led by teachers who do not feel confident or competent to teach music, and consequently, they lean towards planning in paper, in theory, but not really implementing music. This is connected to another challenge that we face, and is the limited music teacher training at universities. Right now, we have a university that focuses on education, on specifically teacher training, and but the problem is that these teachers do not have a place in public schools. Of course, insufficient resources and infrastructure, no instruments. I had one teacher in one of my studies that told me that his school actually had instruments, but the administrators didn't let him use the instruments out of fear of them being damaged. So they have instruments, but they don't use them for music classrooms. Or in the majority of cases, they are non-existent. This provokes very low self-efficacy among generalist teachers. They do not feel confident, competent. They do not trust their own abilities to bring some musical experiences, which contributes to another problem, which is the marginalization of music and music instruction, because politically is, like Alejandra said, seen as non-essential compared to subjects like math, language, or science, especially under test-based accountability systems. There is a dominant educational discourse that prioritizes science and literacy over arts, for example, and they see music and arts as recreational, as enrichment, and not really as integral to child development. And so many students in school never really engage with music before in formal or extracurricular context, or in some lucky cases where they have access to conservatories, which is another route here in Ecuador.
Thank you very much, Joanna. Yeah, I would like to continue. No say nothing. Please, Karina, feel welcome to respond or question.
Yes, thank you so much. So I'm speaking from Brazil, so I will bring the perspective from here. We are a very big country. It's almost like a continental country. So we have many regions, and a huge difference between these regions, economic differences, cultural differences. We have in the music education, in the basics in the school, there was a law that came out that assured that all schools should offer music classes in schools, and this has been sort of solved by some of the schools when they would have, for example, a teacher that is a math teacher but knew a little bit about music, so you can also teach music. So this has been this law has been until now somehow not fully put in practice, because not many the government doesn't give so much money for us to have jobs for actual music teachers coming to school and working on that. So this is something that reflects on the initiation into music at schools. The children may be lucky to have a good music teacher, or a music teacher that is more developed, that has all the strategies to teach or not. But so they could have some good start into music, but not always it happens. And then we do have conservatoires, for example, but here in Brazil, conservatoires are not the same as conservatoires in the United States or in Europe, where they have a high school level teaching. Here we have what we call a technical program, or what would be connected to associate program, as I saw that translation to that. So it's a level lower than the higher education, lower than the university. And in some conservatoires, you can go and study. I mean, most of them you study for free. They are government-based, sponsored, and the students can have there some learning, starting from zero and going to learning an instrument. And they could actually finish the whole program in some conservatoires. The problem is that these conservatoires are not available to every state, for example, or I don't know if there are many conservatoires in more remote areas in Brazil. We have one state that has 12 conservatoires, that's Minas Gerais, but there's no other state that has so many conservatoires, which actually hire music teachers. So it's a very good place to study, I mean to work. And then we, after this law that came out in 2008, we had a big movement in Brazil where there was a big boom of universities offering music education programs and forming teachers, music teachers. So I do remember I left Brazil in '98, and then I came back in 2017, and I was really amazed with the amount of music education programs that existed here. I did not know many of those programs, and they were many in federal universities, because there was a big support from the government to have those programs opening. And this was very, very interesting. And but we do have also differences in those programs, because they also are adequate to each of the necessities of the areas. For example, if you are in the state of São Paulo or Rio, which means the richest areas in my country, that has more money going on. People have more possibilities, we would say, considering Brazil, but more money, people can study more, so they have better level in terms of learning music, so they get to the university and they do have a proficiency exam, entering proficiency exam in those universities, and in the southeast of Brazil, in the south of Brazil. But if we come to the northeast, where I teach, where Marco teaches, we would not be able to have students if we would implement a proficiency exam for entering to enter the university. And so it's in a way I have shared that with some friends from the United States, for example, and they said, well, that's a kind of an interesting solution, to more democratic, to allow people coming into the university that do not know much about music theory or writing or reading music, Certainly those people, the students that we have, they do have a connection with music. They have been playing some instrument by ear, or they have the family, a musical family, and they do music. They are very musical, but they did not have a formal music education to come in. And many times we have to start them from zero with reading and theory. So we do have that. And then they finish the program in 4 or 5 years, and those people are going to be teaching the students. So it's a kind of an interesting perspective. I'm talking about music education. When we talk about bachelors of music, then we do have exams, proficiency exams. It's not possible, I think, to enter in any bachelor's program without a proficiency exam, but I'm talking about music education. This is quite interesting, and I have to say that being part of a program like this for the first time in my life, I started here in 2023, I am very surprised and pleasantly surprised to see how actually the series of students can actually develop and become really very dedicated and good teachers. So it is possible, you know, and that's a positive view. Of course, infrastructure, we can talk more about that because I think there will be more questions on that. But infrastructure can be quite difficult, especially when we talk about maintenance of instruments or even having instruments available to everyone. Here, for example, I have to do a rotation system with students learning piano, for example, in keyboards that are not so good. So we have to, how can I teach actually piano with pedals if they don't have keyboard with pedals to learn? So things like that, you know, we have to juggle with this kind of things. We do have one piano and many students to use that one piano, for example. So things like that, we have to use our creativity, as we all Latin Americans end up having to develop to deal with the difficulties, financial difficulties that we daily deal with. Yeah, I think that's a little bit what I would like to say for the first question.
Thank you very much. Of course, we have a lot of things to do, and it's very interesting how it's common access to continue talking. But please, Professor Toledo.
Oh, thank you. Well, I see we have the same problems, the same challenges, but I have a next question for you. How do you think music education is responding to these challenges? For example, through schools, teacher education, educational policies, research, etc.
Yeah, please, a little bit to expand, a little bit to expand the spirit of the question. Try to not only think theoretically, also, even we have living in this complexity of lack of research and policies that are not going successful, and even that we are doing music education in Latin America, and then which or what or how we are responding in this sense, you know, considering all the complexity to do our work here. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, so as I said, that we are, you know, always at the expense of this swinging. And I think the general answer for this would be that we need stronger institutions and stronger programs that could surf, you know, above the wave of these swings, changes, and switches. And I see that happens in other countries, so we have to take note. Other countries have long-lasting artistic programs, and I know they have more resources, blah, 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 but we have to take note and we have to create that strong programs that would endure any kind of, you know, shifts. And so I picked two just as an example, two programs in my country that have an amount of years going and that were game changers, right? One is in the vocational area and the other one is in my university. In the vocational area, in 2009, a big program of choirs and orchestras for kids and adolescents was launched by the government. And this was called the program of the bicentennial because we were going towards the bicentennial celebration of our independence, right? And so this program was like an after-school program. It didn't replace the music classes like, you know, who was that? Griselda from Mexico said that there was a program in Mexico that would try to replace. No, this was an after-school program, and it was so successful, and it runs until today, even enduring, you know, all the budget cuts. So 142 orchestras, kids and adolescents orchestras, were created, and 151 choirs all over Argentina. And that was not only so important for children, adolescents, and communities, but also, as Karina was saying, for the young professionals, because these orchestras and choirs, this program, gave jobs to so many young professionals in the music area, right? Not only instructors, you know, instructors of instructors, conductors, but also composers, arrangers, editors. They published material, and that material, those scores, those parts, were usually focused on our folk music, you know? So there was a promotion of our folk music in orchestral versions, of course, or choir versions all over Argentina. This moved the whole music scene. My students, two of my students are here, so hi, and they worked there, you know. They started working there. They had that experience. I worked there too. I was instructor of instructors, you know. And so this was really a game changer. And it is, it lasts until today, even with enormous budget cuts, but is so significant for communities that they sustain it, and for kids, of course. And from their orchestras, from those experiences, we took a lot of students for the university. And some of my students who got their degrees and everything came from those environments. So that is a very important program. And the other one that I want to mention is at the postgraduate level. And it's a master's program on performing Latin American contemporary music, right? And this program has 20 years now and has the highest grading for master's programs in my country. And it has promoted the knowledge and the distribution of Latin American contemporary music, which is so important and has contributed to the decolonizing movement, right, too. Also, it's very interesting the way it is structured, because 50% is on performance courses, and those performance courses are divided into solo playing and chamber music playing, but both exclusively Latin American music, right? So the students really get to know a huge amount of music that is not so available. And then the other 50% is on theory courses, but focused in the Latin American way of thinking, right? History of Latin American music, theory upon Latin American creation, and most of all, the philosophy of Latin American music, Latin American thinking. which is the backbone of Latin American creation. So I think it's a very interesting contribution. You can say it's modest in the sense of it's located in my university in Mendoza, which is a province of Argentina. But I tell you, in these 20 years, we had students from all over the place, from Mexico to Chile, Brazil, Paraguay, a lot of people from Colombia, for example, because it's quite, I mean, it's paid because postgraduate studies in my country are paid, but it's quite accessible. And so also it created like a center of interchange in my university between all these students from different parts of Latin America. And also we had among the faculty very important composers like Mario Lavista from Mexico. Well, we don't have him anymore, unfortunately. He passed. And Adina Izarra from Venezuela. She was among the faculty members. So I think those things are important. They build from bottom up, right? So when policies top down are negative to our area, we build from bottom up and we try to sustain those kind of programs.
Thank you, Alejandra. Thank you very much. Dear Joanna.
Okay, well, yes, in Ecuador, we have many of those initiatives as well, more than like institutional initiatives that sometimes happen at universities or some musical centers. We also have initiatives from individual musicians and artists who want to bring music to the communities. But I would like to focus a little more on what is going on at the public school system and what initiatives are happening there that somehow alleviate a little bit these issues and challenges that I presented before. For example, I would call this a true vocational teacher identity in some teachers at the public school level. Some generalist teachers motivated by personal interest because they love music or they really value the importance of the place of music in their students' lives, or the concern for their students' development have taken the initiative to integrate some music creatively, even without formal support. These educators sometimes seek out informal resources, like something as basic as a YouTube tutorial, or they seek out the support of community musicians or locally available materials to incorporate music in meaningful ways in their classrooms. In some cases, teachers design interdisciplinary projects that use music as a tool for language development, emotional expression, or civic engagement, for example. And a few teachers collaborate informally with colleagues who have more musical experience, building mini learning communities within their own institutions. This has led to some school level adaptations. For example, in schools where there is a teacher with some musical skills, sometimes referred to as an aficionado, music instruction is occasionally assigned informally to this teacher and often through extracurricular clubs or special events. Some administrators have also made efforts to identify and delegate music responsibilities to interested staff, but this is inconsistent and often not sustainable, of course. There are a few cases of co-teaching models where generalist teachers collaborate with visiting artists or music trained teachers through these, though these are very rare and lack systemic support. And regarding policy developments, which is still very symbolic, largely symbolic here, we do have a national curriculum for arts and cultural education, which represents a very strong foundation from which we can build upon, and promotes a vision for music education that aligns with holistic development in the cultural awareness and emotional intelligence, which is something that we music educators can use to keep advocating for music education. However, this curriculum is very dense. It's very difficult to interpret, especially without a specialist guidance or support. Some policies articulate interdisciplinary and project-based learning, which could support music integration. But without training or exemplars or guidance, proper guidance, these remain very like a dream. They're very aspirational. And so there are no mandates for music specialists hiring, minimum time allocations or resource provision, leaving the responsibility absolutely to the individual schools or the districts. Then we have another point, which is very important, which is the academic research as a response, including myself. I have really focused on trying to unveil these challenges and the gaps and the needs and the things that are going on. And we have begun to highlight systemic issues in the Ecuadorian music education, bringing visibility to the perspectives of teachers, administrators, and hopefully in a short time of students. This has also started to, this student studies have helped quantify the scale of exclusion, identify critical needs, and call for targeted intervention. We also have cultural and community-based initiatives from, like I said before, community groups, conservatories, NGOs that provide music education, bring music to the people, like programs like youth orchestras, folk ensembles with Indian music projects, Ecuadorian music, that unfortunately are not consistent, are usually isolated, unfunded, or inaccessible for a lot of people. So I'm going to say that these are good things, but they need more systemic support.
Thank you, Joanna. Please, Karina, your 5 minutes to respond this question.
Sure,
Thank
sure. So I was wanted to share with you that there is, in terms of the federal universities here in Brazil, which we have more than 100 offering music courses in this country. We have what we call scholarships that are given to students to develop activities during their program. And this initiative has been highly encouraged also to develop into outreach programs. And so I think those outreach programs have been a big solution to actually bring more activity, more music to the community, and having this exchange already from to the students at the university that are going outside of the university and do activities with the population. So we do have that. We do have also internships that the students that are doing music education, they do visit the local schools and they do their training there. And I think that is actually improving the quality of music teaching at those schools. I'm talking about public schools where maybe they had the math teacher teaching music. So when the students that are studying music here go there, and I think this is happening in most of the federal universities, it's part of the program, it's obligatory to do these internships, and also the outreach programs have been highly encouraged, and the universities are adopting to actually put into the curriculum and have that exchange with the community. Because as also Alejandra was mentioning, decolonization is a topic worldwide, right? So there has been a lot of discussion on that here also in Brazil, over the whole country. And we are bringing more value to music that is done in the community. So 2 weeks ago, for example, we had a whole week with people that have their music, folklore manifestations in the area, and coming to the university. I'm talking about people that have done that. Maybe they don't know how to read and how to write, but they are a master of a specific folkloric manifestation, and they come here and they were talking about what they do, and they were doing what they do in the festivities, in the folk festivities. And so inviting those people coming to the university, I see this is happening a lot here. As I think Johanna or Alejandra, Alejandra was talking about the program giving a lot of value to national music, making national music. We also have these included in the activities, especially in the ensembles done. So I'm talking about a lot of things inside of the university level, and I think that's quite positive. I am not sure if we have a lot of solutions for things that are not related to the university. So this is still continues to be quite precarious, and we don't have a national plan. That should be something that we really are missing, and it should happen. We do have a national association, a Brazilian Association of Music Education, and we discussed that a lot. We are members, Marco and I, we always meet and are discussing about the problems, but still there's not yet a program that we unify all those things. And I think that's quite something interesting that we should be thinking about, but still not yet there. So this is what we're doing so far. And yeah, to try to solve some problems.
No one, yeah, no, thank you. Thank you very much, dear Karina, for your interesting point. I would like to ask you for the last question, dear Marco.
Yes, of course. And the last question is how could music education research contribute to developing solutions to the needs of local realities in Latin America?
Well, I'd like to retrieve the concept that Gisela Flores from Chile said in the past Café, that she conceived the research as a bridge, right? And I think that's very, very interesting, something that connects. And she said that through research, we can give voice to the people who is actually working, with the, how we say in Spanish, with the feet on the mud, con los pies en el barro, right? Every day, so that their problems can be addressed and eventually solved, or at least discussed, and also to be able to take those problems to the places where policies are done or discussed also. So that idea of research being useful for the actual practitioners as a bridge, right? I think it's very interesting. And I also think that the circulation of knowledge that research brings strengthens identity, right? And that is a component that is essential if we want to move forward in any way, to strengthen our own identity. And in that sense, for example, this master's program that I was talking about generates a lot of theses related to our Latin American creators, our Latin American composers, for example, and those circulate. And so from different modest programs, but we can contribute to that strengthening of identity and also to that identification of problems and raising those voices to be heard and addressed. That's what I think.
Thank you, dear Alexandra. Please,
Okay.
Joanna.
I think I'm going to expand a little bit on what I was already talking about before, which is my own research, because this has taught me. I mean, I knew that in theory, of course, but doing research here has been eye-opening. Eye-opening, yeah. In terms of how important evidence-based policy making is. First, because we must document lived experiences. Our research is going to play a crucial role in amplifying the voices of those who are there in the classrooms, in the schools, dealing with the challenges, dealing with the problems. Our studies can make visible the hidden curriculum, which is what we call it, and including how music is used or neglected, and how teachers make sense of policies in practice. And then we have we can have different approaches to this, but I feel like this could be a very first approach to why we need to encourage more music educators to do more research. This can help us inform and realign policy in a way that is going to be more supportive of music education. Empirical data can guide policymakers and curriculum developers to better understand what is and isn't working in the current implementation, where resources should be allocated and how they should be allocated, how they can simplify or contextualize curriculum frameworks. For example, by documenting the disconnect between policy intention and classroom capacity, research can advocate for flexible implementation strategies, including co-teaching models, tiered resource provision, and differentiated professional development opportunities, for example. And also, we need, and this is coming from my own experience here, we need a better and more sustainable community of music educators who work together for an evidence-based redesign and development of music education policies and implementation and enactment. To this note, we can always work on empowering teachers through approaches like action-based research. I did some of these in Galapagos when I led a team of researchers to contextualize the national curriculum for the needs of Galapagos. And so when we do these, we encourage teachers to engage in a collaborative process that enables them to investigate their own teaching challenges, test the context-appropriate methods, reflect critically on their practice, share successful experiences and strategies with their own peers, which is going to build self-efficacy, professional agency, and a stronger vision of competency. This can through research, we can also promote culturally relevant and decolonial approaches. If music seems not to be too important for policymakers, the general people, then maybe it's because music is not speaking directly to them. So we need to move away, not disappear, but move away a little bit and integrate other models that challenge the dominance of Eurocentric models of music education that are so persistent here in Ecuador, and elevate more models that are more aligned to the practices here in Ecuador. And lastly, I do think that there's a huge need to connect the research to other fields of knowledge. We need to stop being so isolated, so specialized. It's okay if we are specialized, but in terms of research and implementation, we need to connect to other areas. Interdisciplinary research, for example, music, public health, environmental identity, which is something that I'm doing right now, music, language development, socially relevant, holistically beneficial, cross-sectional partnerships to seek out for funding and support. I think these are things that sometimes we are kind of reluctant to do, but we have to do if we want us to be integrated. That's what I have right now.
Thank you very much, Joanna. Karina, after your response, we will open to space to comment for the audience. Okay, thank you very much. Karina, please.
Yes, I'm timing myself now. So, one thing that I wanted to say is that we have grown as a country with lots of music education programs, lots of research being done. We have increased the number of postgraduate programs in the past years, and this has increased the number of publications. But still, we are working a lot on experience reports, research focused on our own experience, case studies, and unfortunately, these results are not replicable, and we cannot apply these results in other contexts. And this is a huge problem because we end up lacking theoretical references. So this is one big issue that should be solved somehow also in our discussions at the Brazilian we have started talking about these things, right, in our conferences. And it's very beautiful to see what is happening in each area, but we need to have more ground to work and to apply to the whole country, which is a very diverse country. This is a huge problem here, and which is a problem of a country that is very big. But it would be very, I think, a next step to go in music education. And I hope that we can end up with all the discussions that have been started with Josamara Souza, a scholar that has been doing this a lot and talking about these, and Luciana Delben. Those two scholars have been discussing this a lot already, and we hope that this can change. So this is what I wanted to say. But in other aspects of trying to have the regional, I think this is happening. The colonization is going on. You know, we are coming up with something more broad. I have been dealing with things. I have been trained as a classical pianist, playing purely European music, but here I have to open my horizons and I have to teach all kinds of music, and I have to learn all kinds of music also to teach. And this is also something that I have to think as a professor teaching to this kind of students, how I could also contribute with the experiences that I'm having here to other programs, and to have this applicable in theoretical aspects to other programs that have piano teaching and have a regional, or having to teach all kinds of music making in different communities. So to systematize that is quite difficult, and it's necessary so far. But that's all. This is what I wanted to add now.
Thank you very much, dear Karina. Well, we will have a little, not so much time, but we have 10 minutes to take some comments or questions. Please, if you left it to us, if you sent to us that, Marco, we will select him, or it is not yet, please feel free to send your question or comment. Marco, we have questions or?
I don't have the question in the chat, but if we can to get the question in the chat, we can to hear for you.
Well, probably people is thinking about that. I would like to take a minute for a while to say thank you to our attendants here. I can see some names that I knew in another times. For example, Lucilene, Nicholas Kaufman, Mimi Huang Paishen from Taiwan, Luis Micaeli, Regina Marcia también. Varios colegas que já, em algum momento, em alguma instância, a gente se encontrou e é um prazer, uma alegria. Several colleagues that we had here. I'm so sorry, I changed my switch automatically to Portuguese. But anyway, I would like to say thank you also for Isme, Patricia, Jody, Ryan, Patricia, and Jody, who honored today with her presence. This activity is really important for us, and I think as for the region to to receive this support. And of course, before to say to open to question or comments, I would like to take advantage to say thank you for the past and the current participants, Griselda, Gisela, Karina, and again Karina, Joanna, and Alejandra, for her wonderful willingness to participate, to share with us their impressions about this question that is always important to reflect. Of course, and special thankful for Tree and Andia, or really angels that they was taking and caring for us for this activity, and of course the support of all the advocacy committee. Well, I don't know if we have questions now. Have some comments? If it's not, I
I
would like
have
to.
just
Okay, please. I have two. Another one.
no,
Please
yes,
start.
no, I just we invited you to participate in the ISME Latin America in Paraguay in July 15 to 18. I get the link in the chat. We have, after a long absence from North America, ISME returns with the 37th World Conference to be held in July 2026 in Montreal, Canada. Beautiful city. I love Montreal. I post in the chat the link too of the World ISME conference. It's we are welcome to be here with us there. And thank you. Thank you, my friend Cristina Massa was my professor in my master. Thank you, teacher Regina Massa, to be here with us. My colleagues, many colleagues here, Professor Luis Botelho, Guilherme, Adelina, thank you. My students too, many students from Brazil, from Ceará, thank you very much. Hey, Patricia can to talk about.
Well, I want to thank you all and congratulate you for this very successful online cafe. It is always very informative and very important to share our experiences here in Latin America and of course across the world. So I appreciate your attendance as well to all of you. And as you already said, Marco, we are welcome you for our next regional conference. Thanks for sharing that information and also the World Conference in Montreal. So we look forward to seeing you there as well in those two beautiful countries. So thank you and congratulations to you all.
Thank you, Patricia. Thank you very much. And it's important before to give the word to Alejandra that she has a question, only to emphasize the importance to be connected with these activities, because beyond that the issues that we are discussing or sharing, finally, I think that I would like to take one point of the response for the second question that the people say. And I think that how we are confronting sometimes difficult or hard scenarios or social backgrounds that we have in our countries is across community, is across the actions and the agency of the community. And I think that it's very important that when we are together here, when we are sharing, when we are participating, even listening or comment, we are part and we are creating at the same time community. And this time, I think it's very important also the message that Marco gave us to remembering the next Latin American Regional Conference in Paraguay. First time in Paraguay. It's the first time that Paraguay received and organized with the very strong and good support from the AMPON Brazil and of course another old scholar from Latin America, but it's the first time, and I think it's an example that who we will be continue creating community, opening for new countries, and also supporting with from our countries and our power, community power, the actions. And thank you very much. Please, I will leave with Alejandra, sorry, and afterwards take maybe another question.
I wanted to, taking advantage that Patricia, our president, is here, I wanted to make a proposal for the World Conference. You know, in every World Conference, there's a meeting of each of the regions, and we talk about general things, right? General problems. But I think it's a great opportunity to promote interregional research. That is something that I think we have weaker than other regions, right? And so instead of making a general meeting, this is my proposal, I don't know if it's possible. Why don't we arrange different tables, work tables, in relation to different topics that we are researching? And so we create a space for interchange over specific topics in Latin America, and we see if we can make more partnerships through research by knowing what are the rest of the Latin Americans researching about. I know, I think that it's not hard to do. What do you think,
Oh,
Patricia?
thank you, Alejandra. I think that's a brilliant idea. Thanks for sharing that. And I'm taking notes about it. So we will discuss this with the admin team, with Shri and Ryan, to see how we can facilitate that space in the program for the World Conference. Thank you. And if anyone else has similar ideas on how to enrich that possibility, that possible space, please let us know. And thank you again, Alejandra. Shri, do you have any comments on that about the possibilities and based on schedule? And
Yeah, no,
that's
I
the
mean, I think
technical
it's
part.
it's a brilliant idea. I think I just when we get to Montreal next month, I think I need to take a look at the spaces and how much space we have and what kind of things that we can schedule. But I will definitely put this on my schedule to I have a list that I have to schedule, compulsory things that I have to schedule. I will put that on my list.
And in the agenda as well. So I will
Yes.
include that.
Okay.
Great. Thank you.
Oh, you mean
Alejandra.
in the Montreal agenda, you mean for next month?
In both.
Okay.
Thank you.
But
Thank you very much. Well, I think if we haven't any more question or comment, it's only to say thank you again and invite to be connected with ISME and with another activities. Marco announced the next one and the second one. For my part,
yes,
I would like to say thank you for your attendance, for your patience, and left with my friend Marco that I probably he want to say one more thing.
we need to take a picture, please, because the other time I don't believe that. But before the picture, Carlos, I need to say thank you for our colleagues from advocacy committee because we have the big work together. Dr. Michael Ling, the committee co-chair, Sandra Oberoi, committee co-chair too, Mr. Adam Swichala, Professor Natasha Economidos Stravos, Dr. Cristine D'Alexandre, e Mr. Azaila Makawai Lingua from Kenya. Thank you very much for the efforts because we have we work with many ISME Café, many thematics from you. It's a big work, and I need to say thank you for the ISME the other colleagues, the ISME production team, Ryan Ziller, Anaya, Ray, and Shuir, with us now, who are here helping us with behind the scene, the supports before the sections. Thank you very much for your support.
Thank you, Marco. Last one, please. Could be possible all people turn on your camera to take a picture, the final picture of the sessions? I don't know, Tree, is possible to put all the people in one screen or not? No? Well, always we
We have
can.
to make two pictures of the one of
Okay.
each screen.
Thank you for all that have opening your cameras, and please, 1, 2, 3. And the second one, another, we need to change or not? Okay. Okay, I think we have a complete album for remembrance. Thank you very much for
Were more
all.
people opening a little after you took the picture, no?
Okay,
had
the last one.
Yes.
Okay, this is the last picture, please. One,
two last
two.
pictures.
Two last.
We must finish in one moment, please.
Oh, this.
Okay, one more. Okay, now, just now. Okay, thank you very much. Have a wonderful afternoon, night, evening, day, depending where you are. And we hope to see you again in the next advocacy committee activity.